Thank you, Tom Nelson. We have some idol level material here in Plan B Speakeasy nightclub, don't we? Terrific. I really enjoyed that last performer. I enjoyed you very much, John. I'm going to be doing a couple ballads in the spirit of Robert W. Service. He's known as the Bard of the Yukon, the Balladeer of Alaska. First, I will preface what I'm going to perform by giving you a little bit of an autobiography by Robert W. Service, telling a little bit about himself. But first I have to tell you about one word in the short autobiographic poem. And it has a word in it, a Scottish word, because Robert W. Service was brought up in Scotland. The word is chiel, C-H-I-E-L. And chiel in Scottish is child. It's child. You know what a child is? And so this will tell you a little bit about Robert W. Service, and then I'll go right into the first ballad. We'll be doing two ballads in the spirit of Robert W. Service. I was a feckless Highland chiel who crossed the sea with cattle and hit each ruddy railway tie from Portland to Seattle. For bread I often begged a bite, and lousy bunks I knew, but fortune beamed on me the night I shot down Dan McGrew. For Dan McGrew and Sam McGee saved me from sordid strife, and I am grateful to those two for sunshine in me life. My turning point in luck, you see, refulgently began the night I roasted Sam McGee and perforated Dan. And now we're going to attempt to roast Sam McGee. Let's see how we do with that in the ballad, The Cremation of Sam McGee. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails have the secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night in the marge of Lake LaBarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Now Sam McGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows. Why he left his home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but the land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, and he'd often say in his homely way that he'd sooner live in hell. On a Christmas day, we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail. Talk of your cold through the Parker's fold, it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close and the lashes froze till sometimes we couldn't see. It wasn't much fun, but the only one to whimper was Sam McGee. And that very night as we lay packed tight in our ropes beneath the snow, and the stars overhead were, dogs were fed and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turned to me and, "Cap," says he, "I'll just cash in this trip, I guess. And if I do, I'm asking that you won't refuse my last request." Well, I seemed so low. He seemed so low that I couldn't say no. Then he says with a sort of moan, "It's the cursed cold, and it's got right hold, till I'm chilled clean through to the bone. Yet pain being dead, it's awful dread of the icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains." Now a pal's last need is a thing to heed, and I swore I would not fail, and we started on at the streak of dawn. But God, he looked ghastly pale. He crouched in the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee. And before nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam McGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death, and I hurried, horror-driven, with the corpse half hid, that I couldn't get rid because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, "You may tax your brawn and brains, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains." Now, a promise made is a debt unpaid, and the trail has its own stern code. In the days to come, when my lips were dumb and my heart, how I cursed the load. In the long, long night, by the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows, oh God, how I loathed the thing. And every day that quiet clay seemed heavy and heavier growing. On I went, though the dogs were spent and the grub was getting low. The trail was bad and I felt half mad, but I swore I would not give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it hearkened with a grin. Till I came to the marge of Lake Labarge, and a derelict there lay. It was jammed in the ice, but I saw in a trice it was called the Alice May. And I looked at it, and I thought a bit. Then I looked at my frozen chum. Ha, then here, said I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found that was lying around, and I heaped the fuel higher. The flames just soared, and the furnace roared. Such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam McGee. Then I made a hike, for I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the heavens scowled, and the huskies howled, and the wind began to blow. It was icy cold, but the hot sweat rolled down my cheeks, and I don't know why. And the greasy smoke in an inky cloak went streaking down the sky. I do not know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars came out and they danced about. Here again I ventured near. I was sick with dread, but I bravely said, I'll just take a peep inside. I guess he's cooked. And it's time I looked. And the door I opened wide. There sat Sam, looking cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar. And he wore a smile, you could see a mile, and he said, please close that door. It's fine in here, but I greatly fear you lit in the cold and storm. Since I left Plum Tree down in Tennessee, it's the first time I've been warm. There are strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold. The Arctic trails are the secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was at night in the marge of Lake Labarge. I cremated Sam McGee. Well, we didn't quite cremate him. We might have toasted him a little bit, but we didn't quite cremate him, did we? The second ballad that I'm going to do. Well, thank you. Thank you. Wow. What an audience. Wonderful audience. The second ballad is one I'm going to dedicate to I believe it's Mr. Hoff, who runs a little ranch up here, has something to do with kittens. Dennis.
Good old Dennis.
Good. Someone said good old Dennis. Someone knows Dennis. Anyhow, I'm going to preface this ballad. The title of the ballad is The Harpy. The Harpy. And if you don't know what a harpy is someone who plies her trade in a house like the ranch house, a house of no repute. And Robert Service, in his spirit of writing and reciting, he was a recitator himself. He wrote, I have no doubt the devil grins, as seas of ink I spatter. Ye God, forgive my literary sins. The other kinds don't matter. So I dedicate this to Mr. Hoff, Kitty Ranch, and other brothels around the country that are just like that. But first I have to lighten a little bit by prefacing it with this very, very quick joke, one of my favorite. A little old man goes up to a place like the Kitty Ranch, He's bent over. He's probably in his 80s, maybe close to 90, and he's frail. Rings the bell, rings the doorbell, and the madam comes to the door, and she looks down at the little old man. She says, "My God, what are you doing here? You've had it." He replies, "I have. How much do I owe you?" Some of you probably have heard that. The harpy. The harpy. There was a woman, and she was wise. Woefully wise was she. She was old, so old, yet her years all told were but 83. And she knew by heart, from finish to start, the book of iniquity. There is no hope for such as I, on earth nor yet in heaven. Unloved I lived, unloved I die, unpitied, unforgiven. A loathed jade I ply my trade, unhallowed and unshriven. I paint my cheeks, for they are white and cheeks of chalk men hate. Mine eyes with wine I make them shine, that man may seek and sate. With overhead a lamp of red I sit me down and wait, until they come the nightly scum, with drunken eyes of flame. Your sweethearts, sons, ye scornful ones, 'tis I who know their shame. The gods ye see are brutes to me, and so I play my game. For life is not the thing we've sought, and not the thing we plan. And woman in a bitter world must do the best she can, must yield the stroke and bear the yoke, and serve the will of man. Must serve his need and ever feed the flame of his desire, though be she loved for love alone, or be she loved for hire. For every man since life began is tainted with the mire. And though you know he loved you so and set you on love's throne, yet let your eyes but mock his sighs, and let your heart be stone, lest you be left as I was left, attainted and alone. From love's close kiss to hell's abyss is one sure flight I trow, and wedding ring and bridal bell are will-o' wisps of woe. And 'tis not wise to love too well, and this all women know. Wherefore the wolf pack, having gorged upon the lamb their prey, with siren smile and serpent guile, I make the wolf pack pay. With velvet paws and flensing claws, a tigress roused to slay. One who in youth sought truest truth, and found a devil's lies, a symbol of the sin of man, a human sacrifice. Yet shall I blame on man the shame? Could it be otherwise? Was I not born to walk in scorn where others walk in pride? The Maker marred and evil starred, I drift upon his tide, and he alone shall judge his own, so I his judgment bide. Fate has written a tragedy. Its name is the human heart. The theater is the house of life. Woman, the mummer's part. The devil enters the prompter's box, and the play is ready to start. Thank you. Thank you, wonderful audience. And thank you, John, for all your help. And Tom Nelson, thank you for your leadership here. You're great.